Okay, let's talk about one of the most useful and honestly one of the most confusing words in Japanese, sumimasen. If you've spent any time learning the language or even just visited Japan, you have heard this word everywhere. But here's the thing, it means so much more than just sorry.
So I'm going to ask you a question right off the bat. When you hear sumimasen, what's the very first English word that pops into your head? Go on, think about it. I have a pretty good guess what it is.
Yep, I bet for 99% of you, it was, I'm sorry. And look, you're not wrong. That is absolutely one of its main jobs. It's the first meaning we all learn in our textbooks, for sure.
But, and this is a big but, if you think that's all there is to it, you are missing out on like 2/3 of the picture. This one word is like a secret key that unlocks so much about Japanese culture and how people interact.
So let's get into it. You can think of sumimasen as the Swiss Army knife of Japanese phrases. It's got 3 main tools packed into one super convenient word. Let's break them down.
Okay, here are the big 3. It can be a light apology, an expression of gratitude, yep, thank you, and a way to get someone's attention. Now, that might sound simple on the surface, but the real magic is in how and when you use them. So let's look at some real-world examples.
All right, first up is the one we all know and love, the apology. Now, we're not talking about a huge, I'm messed up big time kind of apology. Sumimasen is for the little things. You know, like when you accidentally bump into someone on the subway, or you need to squeeze past them in a shop. It's for minor, everyday oopsies.
For instance, let's say you're running 5 minutes late to meet a friend. You'd say something like, yakusoku no jikan ni okurete sumimasen. See, it's the perfect way to say, oops, my bad for making you wait. It's not a heavy, dramatic apology. It's more like a social smoother over.
Okay, now for meaning number 2. And this is the one that blows a lot of people's minds when they're first learning. Sumimasen can also mean thank you. But wait, it's not just a simple thanks. It's a thank you that comes with this really interesting cultural layer. It's about recognizing that someone went to some trouble for you.
So let's imagine you're on a crowded train and someone gets up to give you their seat. It's super common to hear someone respond, Sumimasen, arigatou gozaimasu. What they're really saying is something like, oh, I'm sorry to put you out. Thank you so much.
And that right there is the key. The word perfectly blends that feeling of apology for the inconvenience with the gratitude for the kindness. It's this beautiful mix of humility and appreciation, all rolled into one. And yeah, sometimes people will just say sumimasen on its own as a way of saying thanks for the trouble. It's so efficient.
And last but not least, we have meaning number 3, simply getting someone's attention. This is probably the one you'll use the most in your day-to-day life in Japan. It's your go-to, excuse me, for pretty much any situation. Calling a waiter, asking for directions, you name it.
The classic example, right? You're at a restaurant, you're ready to order. You just raise your hand a little and call out, Sumimasen, chumon o onegai shimasu. It's the standard, polite way to get service. Simple as that.
Okay, so now you've got the 3 core meanings down. Awesome. But now it's time to level up our understanding. Because while sumimasen is incredibly versatile, it's not always the perfect word for every single situation. You gotta remember, context is king in Japan. Sumimasen is your everyday workhorse phrase. But when you get into more formal settings, like in a business meeting or when talking to a superior, you want to choose your words a bit more carefully. So let's look at this chart. If you make a really big mistake at your job, sumimasen is just not going to cut it. It's too light. You need to break out the much more serious and formal mōshiwake gozaimasen. And when you just want to express pure gratitude without that hint of apology, a clear, strong arigatou gozaimasu is usually your best bet.
Okay, one last thing before we wrap up. This is a question I get all the time. Sometimes you'll hear people say something that sounds like suimasen instead of sumimasen. So, which one is it? What's going on there?
The answer is actually pretty simple. Sumimasen is the proper dictionary correct version. You use this when you're writing and in any situation that calls for politeness. Sumimasen is basically just a more casual, slurred pronunciation that's easier to say. It's exactly like saying gonna instead of going to. Totally fine when you're talking with friends, but you'd probably stick to going to in a job interview, right? Same idea.
So what's the big takeaway here? What does this one little word really teach us?
Well, I think it shows something really profound about Japanese communication. The fact that one word can mean sorry, thank you, and excuse me isn't just a weird language fact. It shows a culture that places a huge value on being considerate of other people. The way apology and gratitude are all mixed up, it tells you a lot about being aware of how your actions affect everyone around you. So to wrap it all up, here's your Sumimasen toolkit. Number 1, a light apology for little mistakes. Number 2, gratitude, for when someone goes out of their way for you. And number 3, attention, your go-to excuse me. If you can remember these 3 things, you'll be using this word perfectly. And I'll leave you with this final thought. A simple, everyday word like sumimasen can carry so much cultural DNA inside of it. And it kind of makes you think, right? What words do we use in English every single day without a second thought that are packed with hidden meaning? Something to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.